Hey everybody, I'm Jack. This is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you all had a nice end to the week. I'm continuing just to kind of take it low key. I'm getting work done, but I just powered down a little bit for this holiday. Not necessarily because I'm celebrating the holiday, but we can all use a little break sometimes to avoid burnout. Got one of my shirt with my new logo on it today, the Uncle Jack's tie-dye. I got two of these white ones. I'm gonna play with them a little bit. I'm gonna tie-dye them, but I got to do kind of a light tie-dye so the logo will show up through there. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these. But anyhow, today I want to talk about how a raw food diet is as healthy as you make it. You make it. Guys, I do videos every day. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you go down and hit that subscribe button now. Then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. And I'm going to have some tie-dye, some available this weekend, I'm pretty sure, so go check me out on Instagram at Uncle Jack's tie-dye. There's not, sometimes I even do it the raw food diet. There's no the raw food diet. There's so many different ways of doing a raw food diet, and even like some very diverse things. Now, for the subject of discussion here, there's even people that eat a raw diet with animal products, but they eat raw. We're talking about plant-based vegan here, but there's so many different ways of doing this that I just think a lot of times people generalize and throw everything together and that make every assumption based on like there's one raw food diet. And if this person has done it and not gotten good results or has failed or whatever, that just means it's not a good way of eating. And people tend to do that. I was thinking as I prepared this talk, people tend to want to do that. I think it's like because they just kind of want to reinforce the conclusions that they want. Because every time somebody generally goes after the raw food diet, they do tend to pick the lunatic fringe. They do tend to pick the people that look sick. They do tend to pick the people that just don't look to be thriving on this lifestyle. They never pick out like the Chris Kendalls, or like I know there's this woman on Instagram I follow. She's called the Raw Outlaw. I don't know if it's Raw Outlaw, Raw Food Outlaw. I mean, she's a beast. I mean, she's fully 100% raw. I think she's very low fat. I mean, she eats very, very, very clean. And she's running ultra. She's not just running marathons, she's running ultra stuff. Like she runs just massive, massive amounts, in great shape and what have you. And I can think of a lot of examples. I've met a lot of people at Woodstock the last 2 years. People that don't necessarily do channels or have a presence on social media, and they eat fully raw, they thrive. They thrive. And also too, like I say, there's different degrees. Do you do fully raw? Do you eat some cooked or whatever? But with anything, it's going to always depend on you. It's like, what version of the diet are you doing? What are you eating? Where are you getting your sources from? You know why I can safely say, trust me on this stuff that I put out here? Because I don't tell you, I don't give you any conclusions. You should do this, because that doesn't work with me. I don't like people that say you should. Now I'm sure because of language and speech, I'm sure I've used that terminology from time to time, but it's just more so of a habit of the way we speak. I'm the one that's always encouraging you. I'm never on here preaching, follow me, this is the way, buy my course, buy my program. And incidentally, that's why I don't do a program, because I just do it very simply. And also too, I've always wanted to be more of, I create content, but I also curate content. Because it's always been my philosophy since I started doing this lifestyle that even though I do YouTube and I communicate a lot through YouTube, that YouTube should not be your source or your number one source for this. Like, all I want to do is spark some interest in different things. All I want to do is refer you to different resources, and I want to refer you to as many reliable, responsible resources as possible. And that's why I tell people all the time, I'm not telling you who to follow, and I'm not telling you which one to pick. I'm just saying, sample a little bit of everything. See what people have to say. You don't have anything to lose like that. You can always reject whatever it is that doesn't resonate with you. But, get a lot of different opinions out there. God, I really just want to keep preaching that danger. That's the danger of this lifestyle, are the people that just latch onto one person, latch onto one way, and they just have their head down. eyes closed. Even when they're not getting results, or even when they're getting sick, they've just like gotten stubborn, and it's like, I'm going to do this come hell or high water. But there's so many different ways and versions and thoughts about doing a raw food diet that I think you owe it to yourself, because obviously you have some interest, or you wouldn't have been dabbling with it, fooling with it in the first place. And if you have any belief in the power, that it's good for you, that it's one of the best ways of eating, then you owe it to yourself to explore and not just pigeonhole yourself, and not just like get caught up in the fanboy and fangirl thing. Take the personalities out of this stuff. There's nobody doing this that I really care anything about their personality. I want information. Now I watch people, there's two different purposes, for me anyway, to YouTube. There's entertainment and there's education. Now, who you're watching for entertainment, yes, you might find some personalities out there, even my old crazy ass, that you just enjoy watching because they're a little bit crazy. They might entertain you. You don't know what they're going to do, or for whatever reason. But understand that and be able to discern that from the people that are giving good practical knowledge. And once again, don't be getting all your information just from YouTube. You need to be reading. Nobody reads anymore. Read a damn book, or at the very least, go check out some very good, reputable blogs of some of these people that I'm always recommending. And don't pigeonhole yourself. That's another thing that's become like a very big part of my way of sharing here, and my way of getting information, is don't just focus on the raw. You can take so much information and you can extrapolate from there how you want to use it. But like people like Dr. Greger, Caldwell Esselstyn, Brenda Davis becoming vegan, Brenda Davis becoming raw, two of the best resources out there. But you need to get some real practical information, and actually some people that have studied this stuff, and not somebody that's just, even though I am the science experiment and mine's experimental, 7 years in, I never get too cocky with this. I never have my eyes like, okay, well, I've gotten there. I'm good for life. I've been doing this for 7 years, and hey, I've heard of people doing it 8, 9, 10 years, and all of a sudden, something goes a little bit wonky. When that happens, I will start again doing my research. I'm already kind of diving back into, doing research again, just for myself, more or less, and I will share what I find, but it's always going to be about you. And that's all I want to do on this channel, whether it's with the food or with a lot of things. I want to empower you. I don't want you to be dependent on me. I don't want you to be like constantly having to look to somebody else. It's like having a baby bird. Baby bird hatches, after a while they get their nourishment, they learn how to do things, and they fly off on their own, and they figure things out. So, beware the people that kind of got a hook into your, like, you've always got to keep following them to do this thing. But yeah, just, broaden your horizons. The closed-mindedness on this lifestyle is supposed to be a bunch, you would think like, it's kind of, I get into conversation sometimes, and you would think like our folks are some of the most open-minded people in the world. And with a lot of issues, social issues, things of the day, popular stuff, they are. But when it comes to the food, they're as dogmatic and strict as the hardest core religious person out there. It's just like almost, if you speak against their holy person, they get a little bit upset. If you even throw out there, well, maybe this isn't the 100% the way, you could take something from this. They don't want to hear anything about that, because and I don't know, there's a lot of psychology going on there too. I would imagine that a lot of people just want to belong. And then sometimes, if you latch on to one way of doing it and you get with the group, that Facebook group that does it exactly like you do, everybody just starts reinforcing each other. But one thing I notice in a lot of them is nobody's ever getting anywhere. There's so many different groups out there where everybody's like all in, and there's only a very small percentage of people that are actually really thriving. And you can just tell by the way they talk. There's so many people that are just struggling for years and years and years, and they won't change their approach at all. And that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over, and expecting a different result. At some point, at some point you got to get off this babble about, oh, well, your body just has to go through this, and heal itself, and then everything's going to be honky-dory. To an extent, that's true. When we start radically change the way we're living, the way we're eating, our body's going to detox. And yes, there can be a period of adjustment where you don't feel as good. There's some discomfort, maybe, bloating, whatever, however that's expressed. But it's not something that's supposed to last forever. It's not something that just drags on and on and on and on and on. Another reason too is I think too many people don't see the long term. They don't see down the road. They're so concerned with getting to fully raw right off the bat that they don't lay the groundwork. They don't do the stages they need to go through to get there to do it. So anyhow, I'm just throwing a lot of different thoughts out there today, but yeah, don't generalize. Make it up for yourself. If you've tried things, go by your own experience. Don't be talking about like, well, so you see so-and-so, they were doing this and you know what? A lot of the people, and I don't jump in there and get in part of the conversations, but a lot of the people, it's just like people are like, don't really know the story. Well, you see so-and-so, they were doing the raw and they're not doing it anymore. They weren't really doing the raw. They were a brand, or they were doing something for business purposes or to build a following. They were never really solid in the food. They were never eating one way. And that's something else that happens with these YouTube videos too. And I know sometimes I'm almost like, okay, Jack, your videos are going to get boring. You do the same thing. But I think a lot of these people just create stuff. Like they do something different, do something radical. I'm going to do a fast now, or I'm going to eat like this just to create new content. Not for me. I'm just about like just kind of, continuing to learn, continuing to move forward, and just to share what's happening in my day-to-day life. So your mileage may vary. There's way more than one way to do a raw food diet. And I'll finish with this. If the raw food diet hasn't worked for you so far, I would say before you throw it out completely and say, no, raw food diet sucks, it doesn't work, blah, 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 is maybe try it, but in a different way, or try it adding something, taking something away. But anyhow, just my 2 cents worth. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.